Um, Thank you for joining us on the 12th episode of our Tech Security 101 webinar series. If you joined earlier, thank you for patiently waiting for others to join. And if you are just joining us, we appreciate you joining us. Thank you for joining. My name is Chisom Anaesiuba, and I'll be your moderator for today's session. So last week we didn't have any webinar because it was our customer service week. So we used that time to strictly focus on customer service, basically. So yeah, we're back at it now. And yes, our topic for today is focusing on McAfee. Before we kick off with the main session, I'd like to share a brief background into this topic. So every day, companies fall victim to massive data loss through malicious and unintentional leakage of information. So this loss basically begs certain questions. What if you could easily and effectively stop data loss? Or what if you could meet industry and government compliance and protect intellectual property at the same time? So the products, like I mentioned, we'll be discussing today specifically is McAfee Data Loss Prevention Endpoint, which basically helps us to answer these questions. McAfee Data Loss Prevention safeguards intellectual property and ensures compliance by protecting sensitive data on endpoint systems. So yes, while you may have guessed it, our topic for today is using McAfee DLP to prevent data loss in client machine. And to take us on this topic today is David Olatoye, a Network and Technical Support Engineer at Ha-Shem Limited. So I'll allow David to give us more details on his competencies when I hand over to him. But just before we proceed, I would like to share some housekeeping rules which would help us to have a seamless learning experience. So first, we would appreciate if everyone has their mics muted through the session. And if you have any questions as our speaker takes us through, kindly type it in the chat window or pen it down and hold on to it until the Q&A session where we'll be addressing questions. Also, during the Q&A session, you can then signify by raising your hand with the raise hand feature in your meeting window. And then I'll call on you to proceed to ask your question. Also, kindly note that the session is being recorded, so we would appreciate if everyone allows us this opportunity to record it, and the recording will be made available to all attendees after this webinar. There will also be feedback survey what everyone having, how we can improve, and what other topics that you would like to cover in our subsequent sessions. Finally, you can keep up with us on events like this one by following us on social media. So I'm going to share links to our social media channels. Please feel free to connect with us on your preferred social media channel or all of them if that's what you prefer as well. So yes, thank you all for joining. Thank you, and I hope you find the session insightful. I'll be handing over to David now to take us on this interesting topic. Over to you, David.
Thank you, Chisom. Thank you for the brief introduction of the topic. I'm grateful. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's Tech Security webinar. We have things to share for you. I hope you all keep safe in this pandemic and this era of the health situation that's going on. And it's going to be an interesting topic to you. Thank you for joining us. Compromised customers record top the list of security incidents. An employee are the #1 source of security incidents. Do you know where your data is? That is the questions that have been going on. According to the latest McAfee data residency reports, only 47% of organizations are completely confident that they do know where their data is physically located, and only 44% have a thorough understanding of the GDPR regulations and how it protects or impacts them. Today, we'll be talking about McAfee vision, the introduction of M vision, what it does, deployment, memo, and questions and answers will be taken after the demo session. What is DLP? Before I break down DLP to you, we need to understand data. Data protection has always been an object of serious attention by enterprise security executive and compliance officer. But laws will eventually elevate data protection to the boardroom due to the potentially serve consequence of non-compliance. What makes it even more challenging is that companies of all sizes are adopting cloud-based services to give their employees greater flexibility and easier access to core business applications. As regulations and corporate needs place increasing demands on IT to ensure safe data handling, deploying necessary proactive solutions seems daunting. Some DLP production leave it up to IT to know about all the data needs to be protected. Only rely on IT administrator to manage disparate consoles across multiple environments, endpoints, network, and the cloud, when are good enough products and are not good enough. What is DLP? Data loss prevention, as Gardner said, may be defined as technology which perform both context inspection and contextual analysis of data sent via messaging application such as email and instant messaging in motion over the network and is managed in the endpoint device at rest or on premises, file servers, or in the cloud applications and cloud storage. This solution executes prepare based on policy and rules defined to address the risks of inadvertent leaks. One explosion of sensitive data outside the authorized channel. DLP technologies are based on two categories: enterprise DLP, integrated enterprise DLP, and integrated DLP. Our previous webinar, I discussed about integrated DLP, which is a web gateway. But today's webinar, we'll be talking about the enterprise DLP. Enterprise DLP solutions are comprehensive and packaged in agent software for desktop and server, physical or instant appliance or virtual appliance for monitoring networks and email traffic, or software appliance for data discovery. Integrated DLP is limited to secure web gateway, email encryption products, enterprise content management platform, which I've discussed about the web gateway in the previous webinar over a month ago. So how can we achieve this DLP? How can we achieve these products? Achieve this with the introduction of MVision EPO. MVision EPO is dramatically simple and proof device security management. EPO is a software as a services solution designed to manage McAfee and enhance native security controls built in operating system without the complexity of on-premises infrastructure. Of these products is quick to set up. You can set up these products, get it up and running in a few minutes with simplified sign-up activation and product development. Once you sign up for these products, you are up and running. Then the product you want to deploy to computer is accessible and deployed. Protection workspace, a visual representation of threats, resident and device compliance in your environment, and all form a single dashboard. Protection workspace is divided into several categories, allowing you to review compliance information and manage any threats and incidents in one place. User and role management. Control what user can see and what they can access by adding and assigning roles. Administrator can invite users to create an account and manage and configure accounts. As we proceed in this webinar, I will show you how to even invite users and also add users. User session security. Two-factor authentication had a layer of security to the logon process. The authentication factor includes a combination of username and password, and a one-time password, which is referred as OTP, that sets the user email or cell phone. Customer queries and reports. Envision comes with its own queries and reporting capacities. Solution of Envision. We have endpoint protection and we have DLP. Today, we are talking about the DLP products. The products has these components: the DLP discover, prevents, monitor, and also endpoint help prevent insider threats. How does it work? All McAfee products identify sensitive data or activities. They take action on policy violation and create incidents of violation. McAfee DLP discover. What does it do? It detects and identifies data on your network without data being lost, is used on access by a user, or is transit across or outside or network. It resides on a load file, on a local file system, or share repository. McAfee DLP prevents. This reacts and also protects. It takes action on sensitive data such as reports and incidents, move or encrypt files, block users' access, quarantine email that contains critical data, monitor and reports products of this McAfee DLP. When policy violation are discovered, the DLP creates an incident with details of the violation. This product also extends data security. It ensures compliance and protects sensitive data wherever it lives on endpoints, on the network, in storage system, or in the cloud. These solutions offer the same DLP policy engine and a classified engine across multiple environments. Centralized incident management and reporting, which offers users a single pair of glass experience when it comes to managing all DLP violation incidents and reporting via McAfee Envision class software. The advantage of these products: device to cloud DLP, which extend on-premises data loss prevention policy to the cloud for consistent data loss detection. Empower users, which allow users to run endpoints, discovery scan, and perform self-remediation actions. It also ensures compliance. Allow users to run endpoint discovery scans and perform self-remediation actions on whatever they are doing. Cloud native management. The support of DLP endpoints on Envision EPU deployment policy and incident management can be managed in the cloud. The system requirement for McAfee DLP endpoints for use with Windows device. For deployment of the product to a computer, these are the minimum requirements as being displayed. The computer must have all these for you to run, and the agents for you to deploy on the agents on the Windows. These are the agents requirements to deploy on Windows machine. For the Mac computer, these are the requirements as being displayed. The space, the RAM, and the CPU, which is the minimum requirement is 1 GHz or higher, Pentium 4. To deploy this product on the client machine, when log on to the dashboard, at the features part of it, you click on deployment. You select the type of machine you want to deploy, whether Windows or Mac or Linux. You select, and then you select the what you want to deploy to the machine, which is DLP we are deploying. Once selected, you create or save. So it will give you the options of whether you want to download the installer or you want to use the URL deployment. Using the URL deployment, the client machine must be accessible to internet. If you are not using the URL, that means you have to download the installer. You download the installer and you copy it to the client machine and run it on the machine to start updating. URL installation. Once you copy the URL to the URL of either your Chrome or Mozilla or Edge, it asks you, do you want to install? You click install. Once you start installing, this starts running, installing the agents on the client machine. When running these products on the client machine, for the storage of this device, we also need to set up a storage on AWS, which is going to store the information in the cloud. Because whenever you need the information of the evidence file or the registered documents, fingerprints, and match highlighted, you need to have a storage, which is going to be stored in AWS. So during our demo, I will show you some of these features of these products. Hello, can you see the screen now? Hello?
Yes, I can see your screen. Yes, I can see your screen.
All right.
Can everyone see David's screen, please? If you can't, kindly signify by raising your hand. Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. This is the dashboard. This is the welcome page of the McAfee. Once you sign in, you can deploy to 4 different devices. This is a look at the dashboard. So the dashboard gives you all these installation status of all what I've deployed. Everything So is compliance to GDPR reports. If I want to deploy McAfee products to a client machine, product software, so the client, if the client is Windows, I select Windows. If it's Mac, I select Mac. If it's Linux, I select Linux. The endpoints I want to deploy to, the product I want to use is McAfee data loss prevention. Once the product is being selected, I click save. It generates the installation for me. So either I want to use the URL, I copy this URL to the client's machine, Chrome, Mozilla, or Edge, or I want to use download installer. That is to install the product on the client's machine. Users can also be added to this. You invite user, type the name of the user, the email of the user. Once that is done, the user receives the email. Just I have received the email notification. I've added this user, but I've not activated the user. And I can assign the user the role to perform on this machine, on this window. Deployment to what the users can do with this envision. The role for me to apply to the user. Yeah. These users I have created. I have assigned this user what he can do when logging to the Envision, McAfee Envision. What he can only do is to do all these four I have selected for him to perform. He cannot manage any of these above. So in my deployment, I have deployed to 4 different machines, a domain in the cloud, a client machine in the cloud, a client machine in the cloud, and another machine on premise. It also gives you the components of the machine, the IP address of the machine. You will get the IP address, the communication type. It will give you if you want to get information of a particular machine, the agent that is deployed to the machine will give you what is inside the machine, the memory space, the RAM, the storage, the IP, the MAC address of the machine. Now, today we are talking about DLP. To prevent data loss to a machine, we need to create a policy and assign to a machine. There are already made samples of policy that you can write on. Like to a policy for a machine that has GDPR content in it, you can write on this to make a template and deploy to the machine. Also to block CD or DVD on a machine, and also to use these products to block smartphone connection to a system, and also use it to also block USB device. That is why we are talking about data loss prevention. Some staff of different organizations, there's a policy that has been used not to connect USB to their machine because of information that can be transferred from the system to the USB that is connected to the machine. And taking that USB out of the organization, you've exposed information or data of the organization to the public. For instance, if the flash drive gets lost in transit, anybody find the flash drive and is not being encrypted, he gets home, connect it to his machine, use on machine, and then start extracting information which can be used to rely and then start hacking into the organization or get information to deceive the company. I have a policy that I have created, which is to block USB. You can decide to create a new policy and add to this policy, which is being attached to a client machine. This policy, if it's a data protection you want to attach, you can create. All you just need to do is to create a new rule and select what kind of rule you want to apply based on data protection. Whether you want to protect email or network share or printer protection or removable storage protection or screen capture protection, which is going to use. So once you attach this, it's going to prevent users from doing screen capturing on their data. So the block. For removable storage, you type in the name of the policy and give it the name. Either do not allow storage, do not allow storage connection. You describe the reason why you created the policy, and then you enable it. Then the conditions that make the rule to work effectively. You attach the conditions to it, and then you select based on this classification. Reaction to the rule. Because I've not selected. So the action to it, a computer that is connected to the corporate network, what action do you want to perform? Block or request justification why you want to use USB. is going to pop up from the user, the reason why you want to use USB, and you don't want that user to use USB, we now select block. Then computer disconnected from the corporate network. The action to perform, any of it can also be selected. So you click save. Yes. For device control, new rule, removable storage device, plug and play device, any plug and play that you want to block on the client machine. So you select this and you create a rule. It's going to detect, and the communication is via the internet. Once you apply this policy, it takes less than a minute for the policy to take effect on the client machine. You give it a name, and you also disable it. Once that is done, you click save. If there is an application you also want to block, application web, you apply that to it and you also block it. Anytime you've done that policy and it's been applied, you'll see I've applied about 6 policies to this machine. I applied this and I've also applied 2. Once you click save at the action, or you click apply selected policy, it's going to ask you pending changes. On the client machine, the number that is shown here must also be equal with what is being shown on the client machine. Because the policy you apply here will not reflect on the client machine if the client machine is showing 4 and you've made 2 policy. The 6 that is appearing here must also appear on the client's machine. So let me go to my computer now. Policy 3. Now, policy that I've created in that side. If I want to apply the policy, I come to this place and select the policy that, okay. This is the policy that I've created before. You select the policy and apply it to the client machine. The block USB that I created is being applied to the client machine. And if I want to also create a policy to discover anything in the local file system, it's going to also discover it, just like I've said, the products, detect, discover, and also monitor. The policy can also be classified based on the device, whether it's based on USB or printer or transfer cable device. Just like you connect your phone to your system, and you don't want users to transfer information from the system that is being assigned to them to their computer that is connected to their system by the cable. For the Active Directory, this is what I configure to it. No policy applied to it yet. Workspace. So the protection workspace shows the device that I have, a client, all the 4 machines I have deployed to, and no threats has been discovered on it. You can view the formations of the system, the MAC address, to get the information of the MAC address, which can also use to manage system if you want to apply policy based on the MAC address on your device, on your network devices, like a firewall rule, you can get the information. Once you send the URL, you get the information of it as well. So I'm waiting to ask a question.
Okay, we'll be taking questions now. I don't know if we have any questions before we close out today's session. Thank you, David, for that session. Do we have any questions, please? Also, I shared a link to the feedback survey. Please endeavor to fill it if you haven't already. Kindly fill it. I'm going to share it again just in case. So please fill survey. Still waiting for questions if there are any questions. Okay, so I'm assuming there are no questions and David was able to take us on this topic in such a way that everybody understands. Everyone has an understanding of what he has taken us on. So we'll be rounding up today's session. Thank you all for joining. us on today's Tech Security 101 webinar series. We discussed using McAfee DLP to prevent data loss on your client machine. So on Thursday, we have our COVID-19 lockdown strategy webinar series. It's usually on Thursday, and we'll be discussing introduction to the Power Platform. So it's part of our Power Platform series. So please endeavor to join us on Thursday. So thank you all once again for joining us. The recording will be made available to everyone, and since there are no questions, we'll be rounding up now. Thank you so much, David, for the insightful session. Thank you all for joining, and do enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, everyone.